up, everybody? It's your favorite customs favorite nerd, and today we are looking at a custom that was made for me by Input. All of his contact information is going to be in the bottom of the video in the description. He has a podcast. They invited me on there. I was able to make one of the shows, and then he did this as like a thank you. And like, I was touched because I wasn't expecting anything. Anytime that anybody's hit me up for that stuff, for the most part, I've made myself available for it. But this was the first time, or maybe not the first time, but at least the first time in recent memory where somebody was like, hey man, thanks for that. Let me show you something to give you a sign of my appreciation or something. So it was meaningful for me, and I appreciate it. A little bit of backstory here. I've often joked about, and even on Shattered Cast, but for years, that if I were to make my own Seeker, he would be brown and green, and I would call him Storm as like a joke. And so he made me my very own Storm. So I haven't looked at this mold anyway. I am going to try to be super careful because he has painted this and I don't want to cause any wear and tear on it any more than I have to anyway. But we will take a look at it and take a look at his work. But in order to start, we have to begin with accessories. So he comes with two null rays, and it looks like to me he's painted them white and then has the kind of brown coming up and then sort of splattering to it, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know this stuff is kind of gross, right? But it's the basis of the character, so we just got to deal with it. But yeah, very cool. And then, you know, on Hasbro's part, a lot of sculpted detail in there that the paint was kind of able to help bring out. He can have it on his arm in typical null ray fashion that pegs into this 5mm port, and you pretty much, I would imagine, work anywhere with a 5mm port. Yep. They'll also peg in under the wings. All right, so let's look at the figure. The head is on a ball peg. You get up to there, down to there, and then a swivel. And a little bit of confused Seeker look. There's a little bit of like scratch on his face, like on his mouth. I don't know if he kind of cut that in or if that's part of the mold, because I've never looked at this mold before. And the eyes are painted like a gold, which I think is a nice touch. He did that himself as well. And then this area, the windshield, not the windshield, the canopy is done in a brown, and then he did like a copper brown, like a metallic brown for the intakes there, or vents, or whatever they are. And then we got the same thing applied here, the same color. We have a waist swivel, so that's nice. Lots of sculpted detail on Hasbro's part. And then we have the shoulders, which are basically universals. They get you out to 90 degrees and around for the 360. A bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, a wrist swivel, and that's about it there. And I think this is the base plastic here. Like, I don't know if he had to paint this or not. I don't know if there's like an acid storm or not. Either way, it's very clean. If it was him, it doesn't look painted. But he did put in like a couple accents there on the forearm and such. So that's cool. Same for the other side. And then we have the pelvis, which I believe it looks like he painted yellow. Yes. And then painted the metallic brown at the edges of it. Once again, a little gross, but I think it's appropriate. And he may have even painted the thighs here black. It looks like it to me anyway. You get hip skirts, universals for hips that get you out for the full Van Damme, forward and back for the full Monty with the exception of the back, but I think that's okay. Thigh swivel, single hinge knee that gets you the full run. He painted the metallic brown or copper down there at the lower part of the body, and then he painted the yellow as well. Ankle tilt up, little bit of an ankle tilt down, and a rocker, so that all works. The wings, that's so funny to me, but he did it up, and they also articulate out, and there's the figure from the back, so not bad. And I actually have something to do size comparison wise for once, because I was gifted the Hasbro Skiff for Bumblebee and Cybertron mode, so there they are scale wise. I think that works well. And there he is, kind of in my gifts and meaningful little kind of tokens area. One of a few, to be honest, but you know this one. All right, so let's get him transformed. Open up these flaps here, spin the fist in, and then rock them up and collapse them, and then turn them to the side. I think so you can see the screw is how it worked out. Same for the other side. And then open up this backpack here. Bring the nose cone pieces around to the bottom. I think you can go ahead and plug these in as well. And this little plate here comes up and tabs into the back of the head. And you can spin the body 360. You can open this up. This has, like, so I've only done this one other time, but the other time this came off as well. And I'm guessing that has nothing to do with him taking anything apart to paint it, because I don't think he would have had to take this apart here. So I'm guessing that that's something else entirely. And then the head tucks into the back there. All right, so collapse the heel and toe and flip these legs around so that these tabs plug into his backside on both sides. And the arms come down and plug these two tabs into the side there and there. Let's see what else. This comes down, and this part of the wing tabs into the top of the forearm. And now I'll mess with that a little bit tighter off camera. This piece here on the top comes down, plugs back in, and then the chest piece comes up and tabs into the back. And I mean, that's basically it. Obviously, I don't have it all tight, but that's the steps. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And I mean, there it is. I could probably get these wings a little tighter if I really worked on it, but I think we get the idea. Once again, his work here is just spectacular and funny and not lost on me. Same for the nose cone and the stuff all on the back. How it, you know, he's got his color palette down. You know, and I think it's cool. As far as the Hasbro side of this, I feel like it started off in a really unique place with the way that they were doing kind of the stuff behind his head turned into the nose cone and all that, and then I feel like they end up just kind of throwing it away and having this like really kind of lowest common denominator finish in regards to the arms, the legs. Like it ends up like, people joke about the aerial bots and stuff, but I mean this is literally just the transformation thing sitting on top of a square that's the rest of the body. I think the chest piece part was cool, but and the nose cone part was cool, but the rest is kind of a wash for me. But yeah, I mean I love it nonetheless because of what it is, who made it and why they made it. And there it is next to Tiger Tracks. So substantial little unit. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives, and they're pretty simple. I think that the alt mode kind of throws away the last half of the transformation. I think they start in a really cool place, and I think they end up kind of saying, well, that'll do, pig. And I'll be honest, like objectively, that's really, it's like kind of like I can't really pick this thing apart because I'm really touched by the gift element of it. You know, for a Hasbro figure, I think it's pretty good. Not a whole lot of waffles, so I can't gig them for that. You know, like I think if you like this design and you like this take and you're in for this scale, the only thing that I think I can really criticize in any sort of objective way is the last half of the transformation. Positives wise though, for what it is, the first half of the transformation is pretty good. Like I said, there's no waffles. The articulation is built in. Doesn't feel limited. You can get some real attitude out of the posing. I guess if I was going to pick apart one more thing for a negative, I would say that chest piece tolerance on those bars is not right. Mine's popping off all the time when I go through the transformation. But back to the positives, tons of sculpted detail. The build is kind of what you would expect. Not that it's stellar, but it's certainly not terrible. The same thing kind of goes for the materials. So, I mean, I think it's a decent figure for what it is. But that being said, that's not really why we're looking at this figure. We're looking at this figure because it was gifted to me by Input. Once again, all of his contact information is in the description. Feel free to check out his podcast. Feel free to look at his custom work, etc., etc. I just to reiterate, like, I really was pretty touched to receive this. So, I'd like to thank him, and I'd like to thank you for listening and watching. Till next time, take care.